Hello and welcome to News Games More. I'm Brian Altano. With me is Jonathan Dornbush, Zach Ryan,
me,
and Destin Legary over there on the ones and twos, just looking ecstatic. Destin, how are you feeling today, baby? What's going on?
I'm great.
Destin didn't get the memo. We were dancing to salsa, and Destin is over there dancing to gravy, it looks like.
I think, yeah, he's dancing. News Games and More is our daily news show here at IGN. You can watch it every day, 4 p.m. Pacific time or wherever you live on YouTube, Twitch, Mixer. You can also get an audio version, download to later on in your ears and such on your favorite podcast platforms and have the best night of your life going to sleep, listening to whatever the hell we're saying up here.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Wow.
Dear Lord.
Zach! Sorry, I keep dropping a lot of stuff.
What was that?
Like there was a tape roll. Don't worry about it. Hey guys, good news. I brought the cursed tome.
All right. Yeah, so we have
the cursed tome.
this is our first look at
the
some of the
more.
upcoming DLC for the hit film The Rise of Skywalker.
That's right. I'm not actually sure if this is embargoed or not, so I could be in deep trouble, but
Great.
If you stick with us, we might do some live readings from the end. Find out who else is a clone.
That's
Only
right.
Here.
We have some
Games and More.
huge news to cover today. First of all, we're going to get into some stuff about the Last of Us TV show coming to HBO. That's a real thing. Ghosts of Tsushima got a release date. The global box office is about to hit a massive decline. And also, Costco is making it very difficult for you to eat those delicious hot dogs when you go there unless you're a rich man with a membership.
Probably the biggest news that we'll have all
I think so as well. So let's start with the number one news of all time: The Last of Us. The Last of Us is coming to HBO as a television show. I think this is one of those things that is pretty much a perfect scenario in terms of involvement from Neil Druckmann and the studio that worked on Chernobyl. And this is very different than the Last of Us film that was in development that Neil Druckmann was sort of like, he found out about on Twitter.
Well, and he was helping to write it, but there was clearly a lot of studio interference. Based on the very not loaded tweets that came from a lot of people on all sides of this, you can kind of tell they're very happy this is not being made into a movie. And we actually were able to confirm with HBO that this show is taking the place of that planned movie.
That's right.
So that movie that was in development hell for years is not happening, but instead this TV show, which Neil Druckmann will be involved with at a writing and production level, and it will be then also executive produced by, as you were mentioning, Craig Mazin, who show ran and executive produced Chernobyl.
That's right.
Also famous for writing the Hangover sequels.
Yeah?
He has also most recently written the latest draft for the Borderlands film, and is, I think Deadline last reported that he was in consideration for writing the next draft of the new Pirates of the Caribbean movie. So he's a busy man.
Right.
That's a lot of disparate sort of franchises and feels.
Yeah.
I like him for The Last of Us because Chernobyl, obviously not a post-apocalyptic story, but definitely one that is right there on the verge of an apocalypse. And I think that show is one of the most beautiful and thoughtful shows that we've seen in recent years. I love that sort of gravitas will be brought to a story that is, honest and brutal and sort of very dark. And I think it's a really interesting choice that he and Neil would pair up on this. So.
Yeah, Neil Druckmann said specifically that this is going to follow Joel and Ellie's journey, which I think a lot of us, when we first heard about this, were like, oh, they're gonna do the backstory, they're gonna lead everything up to it. They might do a little bit of that, but it doesn't really seems like that's gonna be the main focus here.
There's room to play here. I mean, HBO is kind of famous for doing penultimate episodes of seasons that either kind of take place at a major point in the story, like in a big action sequence like in Game of Thrones, or showing a sort of like prequel narrative that ties into the thing you've been following all season long. The Leftovers did that quite a bit. So I wouldn't be surprised if the space that a TV show gives them versus a movie lets us dig into some of those bits and pieces of the lore that we don't get in a movie.
So I have to ask you guys, what type of television show do you want to see more of? Do you want to see more of The Watchmen or something like The Mandalorian, where it's individual adventures of the two together?
Wacky sitcom.
So I think for the most part, when I see news about a video game adaptation, be it a film or a TV series or whatever, I think my general thought process is like, well, we've already seen the story that's been told in the games. Let's see something else from that world, or let's choose some new characters to focus on, or like Destin's suggesting, like bite-sized stories a la The Mandalorian. The Last of Us to me is such a perfect I think the only knock that people have against that game is like, well, this is a movie with some gameplay.
Right.
And so to me, the idea that an 8-hour series or an 8-episode hour-long series would retell the story of the game, I think would be awesome. Like, I really think that in this case, that story is so well done and so thoughtful that, like, I think it would make for really compelling television. So.
I definitely have some reservations about a Last of Us adaptation whatsoever. I do think we're sort of looking at a best-case scenario for what this adaptation could be, and so I'm feeling a little better about it. But I do think, as a TV show, it makes a lot more sense because the game itself is pretty episodic when you think about it. It is segmented into different seasons, and it's very easy to sort of segment this TV show. Maybe every 2 to 3 episodes is, a season arc in that world. And I think you can easily put some of these side characters in for 2 or 3 episodes and you really let someone's story shine for a little bit of the story. But I do think a TV show will let them maybe divert down paths that the game didn't want to because it was very focused on keeping you on that story, whereas a TV show you can play with some of that room.
I think that there are characters in the game that lend itself to 2 or 3 episode arcs. You know what I mean? Like, you could very easily take characters from the game, like who's the lady at the beginning of the game that he's friends with?
I'm blanking on the name. But
yeah, you know what I'm talking about. And then like the old dude with the truck in the middle of the game. Like
Billy, I believe.
Yeah, Billy. Yeah. There's like so many characters in that game that you could very easily tell their story and have the through line be Joel and Ellie.
Yeah.
That's one way to approach it, I think.
Yeah. Sure.
VanCity92 over on YouTube says maybe they can tell the story between the first game and the second because there was a time gap between the first 2 games. That's probably what they'll do, right?
Yeah.
They'll play with that.
I can see
I don't
that.
know because you'd have to establish those
follow-up.
characters from the first series, right, or from the first game.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much that's integral to what their relationship is after 1 that is because of what they go through in The Last of Us 1. And
I think, sorry.
I was just going to say one of my biggest worries, and I like the creatives on hand for this story do give me faith, but one of my biggest worries is translating it to a passive television show or movie. The thing is, a lot of what The Last of Us plays on, no spoilers for those who haven't played yet, but The Last of Us, for those who are out there, The Last of Us plays with the notion of your character's moral choices and what you as a player have to do because you are playing a linear story-based game.
Yes.
And when you're just watching that, there's a disconnect that you don't quite get.
Yeah. Caleb Schwinghammer wants us to know that her name is Tess. Sorry, we did forget that her name was Tess. We are human beings. We do forget.
It happens occasionally.
Yeah, I think that you're absolutely right on the money in that.
But it's very clear that like Craig Mazin is a big fan of this game and this franchise. There was a very Brian, what are you doing?
Brian's just Googling
I'm sorry, I'm
scooters?
totally
You guys ever hosted a show before? Come on, let's go.
Craig, we're on a first name basis, was talking on Twitter about how Shannon Woodward, who is Dina in The Last of Us Part 2, essentially introduced him to Neil Druckmann and sort of helped birth this relationship, which is a really cool story. I'd love to hear more.
Very quick aside, we forgot to update the headline from yesterday's episode where we talked about the Batmobile.
That's what I've been
talking
That
about
makes
today.
sense.
Some of you are here to see the Batmobile. You haven't seen it yet. I want to reveal this is it right here.
Perfect.
This is going to be very difficult for both of them to ride on at the same time, I believe. Can we get a
Spoilers. Go over here.
Let's go right over here. Can we get a close-up shot of that?
Here, come over here.
So Batman and Robin are both confirmed to be in this movie, and Catwoman and Mrs. Freeze, the Penguin, and the Princess are all going to be in this film at the same exact time, and they have to take turns riding on this car.
You queued up Siri.
Yeah, and so Siri says, show Batman and are both armed to be Catwoman, Mrs. Freeze, and the Princess, and the car she queued up, and so sweet.
I did update the pub info and thumbnail live as soon as we started.
Great.
And I realized it. But I also really love that new Batmobile, so
I do too.
I wasn't too upset.
Pink is a weird choice, but I think that like if they can fit a lot of them on at the same time, it's going to work really well.
It's gonna look like a scooter in Thailand where it's just like a dozen people riding on it.
Let me ask you guys, what other video games do you think would make a good HBO show? Like not like necessarily something animated. Borderlands. They're making a movie.
Yeah, and the same guy's writing it, which is really, really cool. A guy has good range. He did Chernobyl
And The Hangover.
and Hangover. So
The Hangover
he's
is
gonna be doing
kind
the
of
same thing again, but with like video game properties.
Well, Naughty Dog did Crash Bandicoot and The Last of Us, so they have range too.
Yeah.
That's Crash Bandicoot is kind of their Hangover trilogy.
I think it's going to be a really awesome pairing. The writer is clearly very talented. I absolutely love Chernobyl. Did you guys all watch it?
Yeah. How do you feel about what I just said earlier, just bouncing right off of you?
Yeah.
You're gonna ignore that?
I agree.
Yeah,
Do you agree? Can you
Destin
confirm?
is already thinking about the next thing that he's gonna say. He's not concerned with what you're talking
we're
about.
set.
He's already got his bullet points lined up.
Destin, can you confirm that the Crash Bandicoot is the Hangover of games?
Absolutely. That is correct. It is a correct statement.
I would like to see a Mega Man show where in each episode Mega Man takes on one of the evil robot masters.
That is a great, like an 8-episode like Monster of the Week show where he.
I think they are working on a new Mega Man animated series.
Supposedly it was going to be like a Mega Man film for a minute.
Yeah. And then there was, back in the day on WB Saturday mornings, a Mega Man Battle Network show.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah.
I like the 8-episode Mega Man show thing. Or it would have to be 10.
Honestly, I think it's a terrible idea.
No, it has to be 9 because the 9th episode it goes fights Dr. Wily.
That's right. You got to go through the whole castle.
Yeah. No, it'd be great if like the show starts and it's just like a select screen and it's like and he's just looking around and you're like, who's he gonna pick? Oh, Rockman! This is gonna be a great episode.
He fights himself.
What would you want to see, Brian?
Let's see. We had a suggestion for BioShock. I think that's a really good one.
Yeah, that was stuck in development hell for forever. I really actually wanted to see Gore Verbinski take that on.
That's right.
He was attached for a bit, and then
Mass Effect show would be great because HBO doesn't have a sci-fi from
Westworld.
Talal Ashan. Yeah, I would say that HBO does have a couple of sci-fi, and also like Star Trek is Mass Effect for all intents and purposes.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Do you think Mass Effect would do better, Zach, or do you think Destiny would? Somebody brought up Destiny.
Mass Effect has better lore. Sorry, CJ. Sorry.
It does have. Well, maybe, I don't know. The lore is pretty convoluted in Destiny.
Yeah, it's like
there's
it's like
some really
pretty
good
buried.
beats.
I feel like.
Yeah, there's some good beats in the Destiny lore, but Mass Effect, you know, the Reapers and everything are just.
Destin,
really
if they make a Destiny show, are you worried about audiences falling asleep?
No. There's this content creator, my name is Vife, who made like a 3-hour video where he actually took all the lore, put it together in one string, and it's really awesome, and people can check it out online.
Can you send that to me for the next time I have trouble sleeping?
Wow. Wow. So you guys would not watch a Destiny show?
Probably not.
Probably
What?
not. I barely
No,
play
I-
the Destiny game.
All right.
I would watch a show where you, there we go, where you explain to people why Destiny excites you.
Oh, it's just
Like some sort of weekly
Rosemary
show.
Media says nobody brought up Destiny. Destiny
Some
just
people
wanted to
have
find a way to bring it up.
alcoholism
Nice
as an
try.
addiction.
I brought it up.
It's like me in Kingdom Hearts.
I'm addicted to looter shooters.
Rick Martinez says, why not remake Chippendale Rescue Rangers? I agree, as sort of like a True Detective buddy cop thing.
Like gritty.
Yeah,
real
like a
dark.
gritty.
They're going to be in.
That was
DuckTales
funny
season
because
3.
that was a show and then a game and now a show again, perhaps?
What if it's a two adult men and they're not wearing pants and they're solving crimes?
Really?
One of them has a Hawaiian shirt and it's just his testicles and such. Can you say that? Testicles and such?
Yeah,
Yeah, as long as you keep the end.
At least you haven't swore for the first 15 minutes of the show today.
I did say testicles. Zach's here. He's gonna curse.
You better believe it.
We're gonna get a swear jar on set to fill up, and then we're gonna buy pizza and we're gonna eat it in front of the person who
great.
cursed the most.
Yeah.
We got some other news today. We got a release date for a video game. That's always
Really,
the thing we
a
can
real
count
lead
on. That's a tattoo you can keep forever.
on the PlayStation blog this morning.
That's right.
Had a trailer. We found out Ghosts of Tsushima, which previously had a summer release date from the Game Awards trailer end of last year, is coming out June 26th.
Right. Which is summer.
Summer. It is officially in the summer.
Still officially
It counts.
It's the beginning of summer. I was really pegging it. I thought it was going to be a little later for August or September.
Right.
Is when I was thinking it might come out. But this, to me, clearly shows that Sony is interested in kind of like setting up the PS4's swan song era and then being able to focus on PS5 for the second half of the year.
Can I speak to the control room for a second? Whatever you're doing, whatever you do, don't show the new Ghosts of Tsushima trailer. Just show the web page with the collector's edition. I think. Thank you. I'm curious what this means. This release date means for PlayStation's roadmap in 2020. I think that it's really interesting that their two end-of-generation, like blockbuster AAA first-party games are coming out within a month of each other.
Yep.
Yeah.
Please expound upon that.
No,
That is true. They're coming out within a month.
I actually saw a lot of people on Twitter sort of being like, do you expect us to play another video game when we're still coming down from The Last of Us? Like,
What?
okay.
What is happening?
I mean, I think
Somebody started
it's a
a
good
car and
position for an open world game to come out right at the start of the summer. Obviously, with everyone sort of getting off from school at that time, that's a great time for like a wider audience. And the summers just traditionally tend to be quieter with releases, at least.
I agree.
I think for me, like you very much see, because it's not just these two games, though they're obviously the biggest. But from right now until the end of June, you get Neo 2, MLB The Show 20, Predator Hunting Grounds, Final Fantasy VII Remake. Marvel's Iron Man VR, I'll get to that one in a second. Marvel's Iron Man VR, The Last of Us Part 2, and Ghosts of Tsushima, all within a like 3.5 month span.
Right.
All exclusives, at least console exclusives. That is a killer lineup of potential. And I think that is very much Sony wanting to line up and keep the focus early on about PS4. And I do think that means PS5 is not going to really be the focus for the next
I was tweeting about this morning, and I wanted to kind of bounce this off of you guys. I have a bit of a hypothesis in that I think that we've probably heard the last that we're going to hear about the PlayStation 5 for a while. I think that, like what you're saying, I think the focus is going to be on shipping these final PS4 games, making sure they wrap up this generation tight. I bet you we don't hear anything about the PS5 until like July. I think that they're going to be radio silent, and then in July they'll announce some sort of like big event. I think maybe tied to Gamescom.
I think it depends on if their hand is forced. Because if Xbox does come out, like obviously we're expecting them to come out at E3. If something changes with E3, given the current state of things, and if Microsoft decides to do some larger showcase ahead of E3, Sony may not want there to be total silence for 3 months. But yeah, if Microsoft comes out at E3, here's the Xbox Series X price, here's the other form that they haven't really addressed, and all this sort of launch lineup stuff. Sony going within 2 months of that, I think, is pretty reasonable. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine Xbox dominating all the next-gen conversation in June and putting up pre-orders and stuff like that and just making billions of dollars, trillions of dollars, and Sony's just sitting there without selling anything.
Yeah.
You know? What do you think,
I don't
Dustin?
know. I think.
So Dornbush said something earlier that kind of surprised me. Sure,
My name
Iron
is
Man
Jonathan
VR,
Dornbush.
Iron Man VR is coming out, but do you really think people are going to do Iron Man VR over Ghosts of Tsushima? I know we can play both, but if you're picking one game, they're going to play Ghosts. Right?
Well, no, I wasn't saying those games to be like, here's the games you have to pick between. I just meant like PS5 or PS4's exclusives lineup through all this time. And also forgot to mention Persona 5 Royal is also in there too at the end of this month.
I think we all know what you're going to play.
Persona 5 Royal.
Absolutely.
Dustin, what about you? Have you ever had the fantasy of being the Iron Man?
All the time.
What do you want to do with
I
those powers?
have a Halloween costume that you fine gentlemen might have seen at one point.
That was Dead Space.
I know, that's the closest I could get.
Dead Space is Canadian Iron Man.
Hey, do yourself a favor. Do yourself a favor if you're watching this show. At the end of it, if you have a moment, just get out there and Google Destin IGN Dead Space, and then click
Destin
images
can bring it up.
because oh boy,
Yeah.
you're in
that's-
for a real treat on that one.
Can we pull that up now? Let's do that now.
Oh yeah, I can't find it. Sorry guys.
Destin's
It's so weird. Like,
a likely
it's not
story.
coming up, guys.
A likely story.
I don't know what's
There we
going
go.
on.
I'll hold this one up.
Okay, this is a really good one. I want everyone to see this. This is really important.
Here we go.
This is great. We really love it here at IGN. We want to support the cosplay community.
Now here's
and really
a
talk
costume.
about some
Here's a
of the
costume
stuff.
that Destin thinks looks like Iron Man.
Yeah, I want to show you guys. Yeah, and I know it looks blown out, but he's actually that pale, which is difficult to work with. But it's
So those are Series 3 Halo action figures. I don't know if you guys realize
No,
how
we definitely
difficult
don't.
No,
those are to get. And yeah, those are Halo posters.
Your hair looks wet. Did you
Yeah.
swim to this photo?
No, that was definitely a look I was going for.
Destin,
a
I do have
decade
to say I
ago.
appreciate how much you propagate the joke of this yourself. This photo.
Can we get another look?
There we go.
I have it on the B-roll screen.
we actually-
Alexio, what are you doing?
We actually
back there?
we have a confirmation of a new character coming to the new Mortal Kombat.
Here he is.
game. Here we go. That's right. This is Carl Fu, the Kung Fu master.
Carl.
Thanks.
Destin, we love you.
We have a supportive family here at IGN.
We do.
Destin, how did you get injured more? Was it during Kung Fu or was it dusting the Halo action figures?
It was Shorin Ryu and probably the action figures. Yeah.
Perfect.
I had a very bad diet. I wasn't exercising regularly.
Anyway, I'm really
good.
excited for Ghosts of Tsushima.
I am
coming out
too.
in June.
I want to talk a bit about the collector's edition. It comes with some very interesting stuff and then some very strange things as well. Are you guys excited for it?
As most collector's edition do.
It comes with a steelbook that has the game, a cloth map, in case you get lost, a war banner, don't know what that is, a mask statue, sort of it's like the lower half of the
lower half mask,
yeah, the missing part of the Batman.
Sure.
A mini art book, a bunch of digital items like character skins, and horse clothes.
As any special edition should have.
Wait,
Pants.
are we talking about
Talking about some
in-game
yeah. In-game horse closed.
Not like actual.
Not
horse
out
clothes.
of game horse closed.
Yeah.
I think they did some polling and they realized that almost 0% of the people excited for this game own a whole horse.
So is that like a tongue-in-cheek like thing, like a throwback to Oblivion of like, hey, here's some actual horse armor that just comes with the collector's edition?
You might be right. I thought horse armor would be dead forever, but I guess not. I guess it's making a comeback.
It's back, baby. Just when you thought horse armor was over.
Destin, are you gonna get
The end of the generation.
Are you gonna get the collector's edition of Ghost of Tsushima?
Can I dress up as one of the characters? Is that okay?
You can. You can dress up as the horse.
Then I will.
Okay.
No, I'm not going to get the collector's edition. I prefer digital nowadays. Do you guys still get collector's editions of a lot of games, or just like really, really rare stuff?
I live in a
And chat too.
I live in a small bedroom and in a San Francisco apartment, so I just don't have a lot of room for a bunch of bullshit. So I don't do a lot of collector's editions because I maybe will snag something for my desk here at work, but I keep most of my nerd stuff out of my bedroom and here, so I don't do a lot of collector's
I have a floor in my mansion for them, but
Oh
otherwise I
yeah,
don't collect them.
in the West Wing.
Yes,
yeah,
in the
over
West
on
Wing
the-
of my
over on the
mansion.
guest side. Of the manor.
For me, it's really very rare will I get a special edition, and usually it is for something on my desk. Like, not often. I used to when I was younger get a few more, but these days not so much.
Yep.
Yeah.
You guys are excited for this game, right? In general.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think it kind of. We probably should disclose that one of our best friends who works on this game, Andrew Goldfarb.
My former boss.
Yeah,
Not
your former
mine.
Boss. No, just an acquaintance.
They hated each other. No, it's worth saying that, obviously. But for me, I've always loved Sucker Punch's work. I've been a huge fan of them for years.
I've
and
been
so
stoked for this game since before he started working on it.
Yeah, and it's so exciting because they have been so quiet since Infamous Second Son and Infamous First Light. Those are the last releases that studio has had, so it has been years since they put out something, whereas in past generations we got at least 2, if not 3 games from them.
Right.
So I really want to see what they've been working on because this is a clear passion project from those developers.
Yeah, it's really cool. We actually, pretty excited to announce this. We haven't talked about this yet. We actually got an exclusive screenshot of one of the unlockable characters you can
Here it is.
get in the game. Let's take a look.
Are you just Googling Destin?
So he's gonna be really good. A lot of the characters in this game will have to use swords and things to compete.
Not this man.
Not this one, because his fists are so powerful that he's gonna scare away all the bad guys and the ghosts using just karate.
That's right.
Sweet Pea
Reader.
asked, what has Sucker Punch made? They made the Infamous series and the Sly Cooper series, probably most famously.
That's right. We're going to move on to a slightly more harrowing story, one that sort of ties into the global epidemic that led to The Last of Us, but one that's a lot more real. The global film industry is currently facing a $5 billion loss amid the coronavirus outbreak, as well as concerns. A big part of that is obviously massive markets like China, which is the second largest theater market in the entire world, has currently 70,000 out of commission movie theaters. Because the concept of getting a bunch of people together and laughing and coughing in an enclosed space seems pretty crazy right now. In fact, I believe it was a scene in the movie Outbreak. Right? They go to the movie?
Nobody's seen that movie. I like, how do you see, like, how do you get box office return when your entire country is quarantined?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not surprising that this news would come out, but it is shocking in a way that I don't think anybody's really prepared for the ramifications of, like, what a major viral outbreak does to, the movie industry, the games industry, like most industries at large. There's Thor.
Concerts,
He can't get sick, but if he
could.
he would take the necessary precautions, wash his hands and such.
Well, yeah, I mean, China has become so massive to the entertainment industry, in film especially, in terms of market releases after North America. It is always the biggest number, if not bigger sometimes. And so right now, all of the movie studios worldwide seem to be a little bit on hold.
Yeah.
They really don't seem sure what they're going to do about this. There was a report today that, at least for now, Black Widow and Fast 9 don't seem to be moving release dates, but of course, No Time to Die did move months ahead into November, which is great because Daniel Craig is on SNL this week.
Yeah. We talked a little bit about it earlier this week about why No Time to Die versus these other big ticket films, and it is really interesting that is the first movie to get delayed, but like Brian is saying, I think that this is the first of many movies that we're going to see get pushed.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's not some sort of contingency plan from production houses where they say, like they're just going to skip a theatrical release for the time being, and hey, our movies are available to rent at a premium price.
So this is what I wanted to talk to you guys about, because this is happening with Mulan as well. And the thing is, like with video games, they are not really like appointment based. Like the best place to play a video game is your home, right? For the most part.
The best time is whenever you want to.
Whenever you want. Obviously, there's
Tetris.
there's esports tournaments. There's places that actually require you to be in the same room. Arcades, whatever GameStop's trying to do. But movies, like people really like the theater experience. Like I can't imagine like watching Avengers Endgame for the first time at home without having an entire room packed full of people who are there for it.
At the very least, build-up wise, I don't think there's anything near Avengers Endgame this year. They're big movies, but nothing quite at that like scale of that or Rise of Skywalker or something that's a bit more of a cultural moment.
Yeah.
But we are in such a weird, unique place because even a few years ago, the Rise of Skywalker extended edition, expanded, excuse me, we now, almost every major company has a streaming service or is launching a streaming service this year. And so whether they want to find ways to like simul debut a movie on, renting options like Amazon as well as their own streaming services, they now have a lot more outlets to combat something like this, where if they're worried about people going to a theater, they can say, hey, we're going to put this movie out actually 3 months earlier on a streaming service to make sure you can see it soon. Or pay an extra $1 and you can get early access. Like, there are a lot more options.
So I guess the thing is, if movie studios decide to drop a movie day and date on streaming platforms like the Google Play Store, Amazon Prime, Netflix, etc., obviously, let's remove Netflix, right? Because that's something you pay for already. How much money would you guys pay to rent a brand new movie at home the day it was meant to be released in theaters?
I mean, I would pay ticket prices, right? So I think that in San Francisco, a non-matinee film costs $16 to $20, depending on the format that you're seeing it in. And if it's something like, if it's a movie that I wouldn't mind seeing at home, like No Time to Die or Mulan is a movie that I want to see in theaters and have the kind of experience you're talking about, but like an indie drama or something, like I would gladly pay the money to see that in my house because you're not going to miss much by seeing it on a smaller screen,
But even in like a No Time to Die, I would be okay. I love the theater experience. I try to go to theaters as much as possible, but I would totally be okay if they said, hey, on the day this movie would come out in theaters, pay $20 and you can have it at home. I would call friends over and have like a viewing party.
That would be cool.
That sort of experience to me would be even better sometimes than the theater experience because I wouldn't have to deal with strangers.
But then that's a sort of a lose-lose situation, right? Because like you're inviting however many people, 8 people over, let's say, to watch this movie. Your apartment's very small. Yeah. That's a recurring theme. But like you're inviting people over to watch this movie, and now it's diminishing returns, right? Because you've paid $16, but there's 5 people watching.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, what's stopping that control group of friends from also being sick? Not to be a Debbie Downer, but it's like if you pack 30 people in your home, you're like, the movie theater experience at my house, and somebody's like, all the fun goes out the window. Here's my big concern is if they turn that on and they give us that option, some people may never want to go back.
I would never go back. That would be ideal.
Yeah.
Movie experience can be fun for big blockbuster releases, but also sometimes as our lives get busier, especially when you get older, you start having kids and stuff, sometimes you just want to watch a movie at home. And I think there's a huge market for that, so maybe the entertainment industry can figure something out and actually
I get
create a smart service for their viewers.
I agree.
I get where you're coming from, but like nothing to me is the same experience as seeing a movie in a theater. Like I will always, 10 out of 10 times choose seeing a movie in a theater versus seeing it at home for the first time.
You have a film background, Zach, so you probably have an additional appreciation, right?
What's that?
You probably have an additional appreciation for the work that goes into the movie process.
He hates movies.
It's not even an additional appreciation of like the film or the format itself. I mean, to an extent, yeah. But I think just the idea of like being in a theater, experiencing a movie on a giant screen where it's like big and loud and colorful and in a way that I can't experience at home, and like the popcorn and the soda that goes along with it, like that's just, it taps into something in my brain from when I was a kid and I had nothing to do all the time, and every weekend I just went to see whatever movie was playing. It's such an easy escapism for me that like I will always see movies.
And I've really gotten into the Alamo experience recently, or like the specialty theater experience where you can kind of sit down, have a meal.
And they bring you like crispy Brussels sprouts or something.
Drinks.
Yeah. Like they're doing a thing for The Quiet Place Part 2, which is coming out soon. Doesn't
Yeah.
seem like that's getting delayed. And they did this for the first Quiet Place movie, but they have an entire menu that's curated specifically around soft, quiet foods.
Is that true?
Yeah. So it's like soft pretzels. It's not like a lot of nachos and stuff like that. It's stuff that you can kind of like quietly nibble on without alerting everyone. I think the streaming method is a good way to go before we see a bunch of major motion studios move their pictures to home viewing. There's a lot of companies that are making original films that are coming home. For example, I know that HBO Max is launching their new streaming service with Karate Boy, which is, we get the first
First look
poster,
right here.
which is going to be really good.
Wow.
Karate Boy is coming to
This is
HBO
great.
Max in April. It looks really good so far. We don't know any. Dustin, do you know anything about casting for this movie? You know who's going to be in it?
Me. You have the casting photo right there. That's my audition.
Justin's taking this opportunity to announce his resignation to become the Karate Boy star.
It's me.
Yeah.
No, we did actually get some news this morning that very much interested me personally, and I think it will for you guys as well. Taika Waititi is making a Charlie and the Chocolate Factory series or series for Netflix. Series. Yeah.
Rosemary Media, Karate Boy 2, bam, he's back.
Karate Boy 3, pow, right in the kisser.
Practically writes itself.
So there are 2 animated shows coming.
Yeah, I picked this one.
How dare you?
The best
How
one.
dare you?
Tim Burton did it.
No, actually, I'm glad you did this. So let's be clear here. Charlie and Chocolate Factory, written by Roald Dahl, became the Gene Wilder movie, which is like one of my favorite film adaptations of a book ever.
You did an amazing Halloween costume.
I did. Thank you so much. Tim Burton adapted the book himself with Johnny Depp because they're legally required to work together. And I'm not crazy about that adaptation. And it bums me out because I loved both of those things so much.
I've seen that movie one time. I was high as a kite, and it was incredible. I never need to see it again.
And did you see it in the theater?
Yes.
You're gonna have plenty of time.
The popcorn I ate that day.
You might get to watch it more when you're in
There was
prison.
no popcorn.
Yeah, for doing drugs.
Yeah, so like Tim Burton, I loved Tim Burton growing up, and like he took on Planet of the Apes, which I adored, and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, like almost back to back, and I was like, man, this is like watching one of my favorite chefs screw up one of my favorite
That Planet of
meals.
the Apes movie was abysmal.
Yeah, right.
That was real bad.
Right, and so here's the thing: I don't think it's possible to make a better movie than the original. It's so perfect, it's so charming, it's dark. Like, it's got all the right
weird,
notes,
for
right?
sure, yeah.
It's weird as hell. And so I think making animated versions of this story is a much better way to bring that to a new generation. There are essentially 2 shows happening here. One of them will be inspired by the whimsical world and colorful characters of the 1964 classic children's book. So, Augustus Gloop, Violet Beauregard, all those children that get horribly... Veruca Salt, Charlie, they all get murdered. There's an elevator. Slugworth is there. He's trying to get secrets and such. It's a good time. The other one will focus on the Oompa Loompas, which will potentially fill out their backstory, origin story.
Who's asking for this?
Well, there's a throwaway line in the original movie where Gene Wilder's talking about like their whole back, because she's talking to the, Mike TV's mom is a science teacher or a history teacher, and he's like, oh, so you know all about the horrible atrocities they went through, and she's like, what are you talking about?
I hate to be that guy because like I see it 1,000 times a day in social feeds where people are like, well, who asked? But like honestly, who asked for a series about the Oompa Loompas? Like, this is so strange to me. And do we know what capacity Taika is involved? Is he like executive producer?
He's writing, directing.
Writing, directing, and executive producing.
That is
He
so
all
weird.
in.
What a weird move.
Yeah.
But if anyone would tackle an Oompa Loompa series, I'm glad it's Taika Waititi.
Yeah.
Like, he feels totally set for both of these things, especially his animated series where he can sort of run wild with the visuals. I hope it's a workplace comedy about the Oompa Loompas. I hope it's very low-key and it's just about them living their day-to-day lives.
I do want to find out how they got those bizarre growths on their hips.
Those are their funny pants.
Yeah.
It's not the hips, that's the pants.
Destin, are you aware of the triangles on the side of the legs of the Oompa Loompas?
No.
You know what I'm talking about? Like in the original movie, they have
the
funny
pants.
Yeah, they look like jockey pants, like the riders' pants.
Yeah.
We actually have a photo. Let's take a look.
Just take a look at these funny pants. You see what I'm
Very
talking about?
very strange. Wow.
Gee. That's what it's called.
It's a gi.
I'm actually pretty hopeful for these, especially on the animated front, because I think Netflix in general has had a pretty good hand when it comes to original animated series.
Yeah.
In particular, another book adaptation that they did, I'm just going to let you guys work on that. They recently did a Green Eggs and Ham animated series adaptation, which is not something I ever would have thought could work, but it does a really great job of capturing the essence of the original series while also sort of modernizing it with some modern touches of humor, and it worked really well.
No, I totally agree. I thought that was a great way to do it. We actually have an exclusive interview with the actor who played that.
Are you gonna keep?
We do. Yeah. Here's the photo they used to cast the ham in that film.
There he is.
Do you like that?
Okay, this is getting mean. That's just a picture of Destin with sunglasses. Like, that's just him on like a Tuesday.
I think I got my eyes checked that day.
You look like it. No, you're wearing Google Glass.
Oh, okay, yeah, I remember that.
Did you get Google Glass at the eye doctor? Because I think something screwed up.
I wish. No, Jared Petty brought it in. I was probably doing casting.
Got it.
Friend of the show.
Destin, are you a Willy Wonka guy?
The original, yeah. I thought it had that like really creepy, zany scene where they go through the tunnel and actually into the factory.
Yes.
And that gave me nightmares as a child. So that definitely resonated with me. But the overall story was just sort of interesting. Gene Wilder's character being tremendously flawed.
I really like his office at the end where he has a bunch of random objects that are just cut in half.
Yeah.
He's got like half of a chair.
That's good.
It makes no sense.
He's absolutely insane as a character, and I actually really like it. I kind of want to go back and watch the original now more than I would want to watch a television series.
The scene where they're in that giant room and they're just eating everything is one of my favorite.
Off the walls.
Yeah. They showed that to us in we had a week in 6th grade where our teacher was like either sick or getting divorced, and they had a substitute, and they just rolled one of those big fat CRT TVs in. And she was like, "Help me, I can't figure this out." And they just put on Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, but it was like in the middle of lunch. I'm watching that movie hungry is hell. It's like the first 7 minutes of that movie is just like
them eating.
There's the triangle pants you were talking about.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You see that? I think that's some sort of growth that they're going to explain in the backstory.
Hey, so we get a lot of people commenting and asking us questions on YouTube, Mixer, Twitch, etc. I got a question for.
Yeah.
So I keep seeing Johnny Rial pop up in the chats each day that I'm on this show. And Johnny, if you're out there, is that a Beastie Boys reference? Because that's tight.
Yeah, you let us know. We're
tell us if that's about the Beastie Boys.
We're huge Beastie Boys fans over here.
We love those
at
Beastie
IGN.
Boys.
We love old men doing hip hop stuff. Let's see. We got some other stories today. I Am 8-Bit are officially out of E3 2020. If you've heard that name before, they're essentially like a creative studio, art collective. This is continuing the running theme we're seeing of not only trade shows getting canceled, but people who are confirmed and companies who are confirmed to be at trade shows disappearing.
What's funny about
go ahead. You're going to say what I was going to say.
I didn't know I Am 8-Bit was involved in E3 until this tweet.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure that was a public thing.
I feel like I Am 8-Bit has a presence at most consumer shows, right?
Yeah.
Like they have like a booth where they're showcasing art or their latest gallery or something.
But creative direction.
Right. Yeah. What struck me about this was the wording around the tweet. They said it was like, with mixed emotions, we regret to announce.
It's with mixed emotions that I Am 8-Bit has decided to resign as creative directors of what was to be an evolutionary E3 2020 floor experience.
So
it echoes
we've produced,
this is like, so we know that the ESA was out to sort of recreate E3 as something that was more experiential and activation focused and more celebrity influencer kind of driven. And this is the third-ish post from a company or a personality that we've seen that's like, we're not keen on this new direction. We're not going to stick with this plan. Something feels very weird about what's happening with E3 this year, outside of the cancellation rumors and outside of companies like PlayStation pulling out. Like for influencers and companies like I Am 8-Bit to start pulling the ripcord is like.
Well, and to do
pretty
so
suspect.
With such loaded language, as to say, like with mixed emotions or things like that, where the vision wasn't lining up, and who knows, maybe there was someone else that the ESA was talking to about creative direction, and I Am 8-Bit may not have liked those discussions. We don't know the full extent of that stuff. We really only know I Am 8-Bit has pulled out of this, but knowing their work and knowing what they're able to put out, I don't love the idea of this sort of changed E3. Like, I don't want to necessarily attend that portion of it, but I Am 8-Bit being a big part of that does sound exciting to me. Like, I kind of wish we could have seen their version of the show.
Like if they had been in a partnership on the level of like a Keeley previously or something like that, like E3 branded with I am 8-bit art, like art selections and stuff would have been really cool. For sure. Like
there is that area between the halls that had like a whole art gallery every year. I'm not sure how much involvement they had in that. I think that was their whole thing. I'm totally with you guys. One of the interesting things about all of this is the wording on all of it. It doesn't sound. It's not like a couple years ago when people were pulling out of the show floor and they were just like, oh, we won't be there, but we will have an activation here, here, here. We'll be in the parking lot throwing a party, whatever it is. This sounds like the way people break up with each other. Like this sounds like Gwyneth Paltrow's and Chris Martin's decoupling.
Time out. I feel like you've had some very amicable breakups.
Yeah, those are very.
I've had some pretty
you
good
put out a
decent
press
ones.
release about your. No, I mean,
doesn't this feel like a celebrity breakup?
It's with regret and mixed emotions that I announce my split from Rebecca.
Yeah,
it does sound. Anytime someone leaves a movie or TV show over creative differences,
right?
This is what each of these has sounded.
Yeah, exactly.
We're just not used to that in gaming very often. You don't
Yeah.
really hear about those leaves because of creative differences too often. But these, in such quick succession, feel like whatever the creative differences are, it is on the E3 side, and those partners with it are just not aligned with that view.
I actually have a press release here from Rebecca. She says, I produce hundreds of great events with Brian, and it was a dream to be involved with him, and we wish Brian the best of luck. But
hundreds of great events and a couple of children.
I've decided to resign as girlfriend.
Weird. Sorry to hear about that, bud.
Anyway, E3 is technically still happening. We talked earlier about the movie theater thing, but they're full speed, right?
Mm-hmm. Not ahead, just full speed.
Full speed.
Well, okay, move ahead full speed.
Yes.
Different.
What are you saying?
Hypothetically, what's it going to take for E3 to cancel?
I mean, hypothetically, that line's already been crossed.
And they're still going full speed, right? So they're not going to do it at this point.
They were going full speed, and then the state of California in total, or at least LA did for sure, and I think the state of California has recently raised concerns, but moved into a state of emergency over the coronavirus. Right. And so and they then said they are monitoring daily the changes and the news about this. So obviously, we are now within the realm that at least E3 is even admitting, hey, something might cause this to not happen.
Right. I guess the question is, how much
more time do they have to make this call?
Yeah, and how much of a fire festival are they willing to commit to here?
Right.
Because it's like
the day before.
Because if everybody bails and there's just like a few, because if you look at GDC, it took until like 60% of that show floor.
So that's what I was going to say. To honestly answer your question, Destin, I think that it's going to take for Microsoft and Nintendo to pull the plug on E3, and then they'll have to reconsider.
Yeah.
I think that it's about attendance from the publisher side, and if I worked at a publisher, I know that right now I would be working on a plan B. I would be working out like some sort of digital contingency plan to hit those press beats, to hit that same sort of marketing wave that happens in June every year, under the guise that there might not be an LA Convention Center presence for my team or my game.
Especially with those two companies, which are the biggest companies who would be attending E3, they have built-in contingency plans. They can do an Inside Xbox. They can do a Nintendo Direct. They can do the Microsoft Theater. They can do a showcase there.
Somebody tweeted at me today saying some sort of the same thing, or they're like, well, these guys are all going to have to start thinking about doing their own version of Nintendo Direct. And it's like, well, they're already doing that.
Yeah.
Like we already have Xbox and PlayStation doing it. Devolver does one every year. Ubisoft and EA and Bethesda could very easily take their showcases to a digital format, you wouldn't really miss a beat.
And the companies that wouldn't can easily be part of at least the platform holders.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that solves part of it in terms of like just cutting out the fat and getting the message directly to gamers who are already tuned into this stuff. But E3 is largely about vendors, and it's dudes in business suits walking around who don't watch press conferences, and they go from booth to booth and they look at big tanks and they're like, Call of Duty's going to be big this year. We're going to order 10 million copies for Walmart, and then they get in the helicopter and leave. Like they're not really like. They're not who we are. We're not who they are. We're in different worlds. But E3 services all of that.
But the reality of the business, like we're not part of that, so we don't know the full extent to which they work. I don't know how difficult it is for a Nintendo or an Xbox to send representatives with a highlight reel to Best Buy corporate and tell them, here's what we have coming up. Tell this to your distributor, share it with them, here's what you can do.
Right.
I don't know how difficult, I don't think that would be too difficult to do in lieu of an E3.
Right.
Maybe.
Right. I don't know. It's weird to think about. This is a show that was going through some growing pains before all of this stuff was happening. These are two concurrent problems. We have the whole virus issue, and then we have the fact that people are publishing open breakup letters with the ESA.
Yeah.
Well,
And
I think one of the undercurrents of this conversation is that if there is no E3 this year, and publishers and developers move to a digital delivery format, will they see like, hey, we don't need the ESA, we don't need the Los Angeles Convention Center to make this a spectacle. We are going to take our show to an all-digital format every year, or we're going to take it to Gamescom, or we're going to take it to Paris Games Week, or something like that, in an effort to say, like, this is a historical time for these kinds of announcements, but like, what's really tying to them to this particular event if they can do it this year without that support?
I think this is a make or break year for E3, but if E3's hand is forced and it is canceled, I think that is detrimental to the future of E3.
I completely agree.
I do think there are companies that won't be able to leverage the same ease of a Nintendo Direct as some companies might. Like the big AAA publishers can do that more easily than maybe mid-tier publishers can. But I do think a lot of them will see an easier return by just doing this directly, and then we'll also see people move more towards, as you were saying, Gamescoms and PAXs where they can interface directly with the...
Sorgon79 on Mixer has a good point here. They could release E3 demos for 3 days instead of having to be at E3 for PC and console. Keeley and his team did that for Game Awards last year, and that's like a super cool idea that they would just host demos for like this window, making it a fully digital event.
Yeah,
I think that's cool.
I mean, like the first, to bring it up so Destin doesn't have to, the first Destiny public alpha or beta was an E3 drop, I believe.
Right.
Thank you.
Anytime. and so it's not like something companies haven't done before of releasing games or demos at the very least during E3. And so release sort of a suite of those things, and Ubisoft can say, hey, here's the new Assassin's Creed, here's the new Far Cry, here's an expansion for Ghost Recon. You can play a demo version of all of them right now for the next weekend. That is...
Yeah. Honestly, I pitched this a couple years ago. We never did anything with it, but I wanted to do like a top 10 games that were available right now. And just talk about all the times they were like,
and it's available right now.
Right now. And then you'd be like, oh, I gotta go turn my Xbox on. The thing we were talking about earlier about watching movies at home and how that could technically make it so you never want to go back to a theater again. Obviously, give or take on where people land on that. But the sentiment around E3 is that maybe...
Alexander Solomita in the chat saying, Gallahorn for life.
That's right. Wrong. We love you, Alex.
I thought you were going to point to Joshua.
Miss you, bud.
Yeah. The sentiment that people could, or companies could sit out this E3 and then realize, like, hey, we didn't even really need that, and then never go back again.
Right.
I mean, that's gonna hurt the whole thing too.
Brian also wanted to do top jorts at E3.
That's right. I did do a video. I did a video with Snoop Dogg about all the jorts at E3.
That's one of my favorite videos.
Career highlight.
I have something to confess about that. Snoop Dogg did contribute to that film, and he did say that jorts are bad. But we did some research, and we found out that Snoop Dogg actually did sell jorts himself. So, just letting you guys know.
Dog Pound branded jorts.
I want to be totally transparent with everybody. Speaking.
How are you going to transition
Here we go.
here? Yep, let's see this.
No, you painted yourself into a corner now.
Which one are you going to, Brian?
Oh, you'll find out.
Speaking of wearing funny outfits and going out in public, Masahiro Sakurai was at the gym.
Close.
And passed out.
Yeah.
Because of his health. The Smash Brothers creator, Masahiro Sakurai, was working out. He said, working out is a pain, but it sure is important. Health takes the most precedent over everything else. Game creator added that he has been restricting carbohydrates somewhat because he lost muscle mass. He had a momentary blackout at the gym, according to Kotaku, and it sounds like he needs to be hydrated and rested.
Okay, well, that's it. That's the whole story.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
We wish Masahiro Sakurai a speedy recovery, and don't stay away from carbohydrates, man. Carbs are your friend sometimes.
He's working too much to not have carbs. Yeah.
Wash your hands, don't touch your face. Also that.
What about the gym?
I mean,
go to the gym, but eat.
Eat at the gym?
Justin, you go to the gym?
Not at the gym. I run and I do push-ups and sit-ups at home every morning.
Oh, okay.
We know you work out. We saw those pictures earlier.
I haven't done martial arts for like 7 years, for real, though.
Dustin, what would be a good way to eat at the gym without people seeing?
In the parking lot.
Ooh, you know.
Yeah.
What about chicken wings in the workout shorts? You just get like little guys.
What if
keep all the wings in one pocket and then put the bones in the other pocket?
Why do you think The Rock was wearing that fanny pack?
What about this? You put fresh pancakes on your knees. You do the leg press, and when they come up to your face,
Very smart. Very smart.
Good.
Have you tried this?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've tried it a lot. What if you put a fried egg on the treadmill and you ran really fast until it cooked?
How would that cook the egg? It doesn't make any
Ryan
logical
doesn't know
sense.
how eggs work. So.
I guess you guys are slacking at the gym if you're not fast enough to cook an egg on the treadmill.
You don't cook
Jason
at home.
Christoph says the syrup would get everywhere.
True.
Obviously, you already have the syrup in your mouth first.
What?
You
You're
put
just
a little
holding like a pelican's mouth of syrup?
So anyway, stay tuned for IGN's top 10 ways to eat food at the gym without all the people and trainers and such knowing all about it. We got some more news stories today that we're going to talk about, and I hope you guys are very excited for them to hear about for everyone.
Keep it coming with the transitions.
Modders have dug into God of War and found out that a certain character named Baldur flips you off. Baldur. Baldur is what they called me in college. Flips you off on the way down from the fight where you throw him off a cliff.
I love this so much.
Yeah.
There it is.
Look at that. Look at those funny arms.
Look at that nasty man.
Right?
Doing a flip.
If you told me this was a poster for a 90s Vin Diesel movie, I would believe you.
I love that they put this in the game. It's such a nothing thing, you know, like in that cutscene, Kratos does like a neck snap and then throws him over the ravine, and he just drops off into like existence, right? Like you don't know where he goes, but somebody hacked into the game, found a way to control the camera, and was like, "Hey, where does he go? Let's find out." And then found this, which is like a very funny thing for the developers to do, to just be like, "Hey, if you've done this, here's a little Easter egg for you. It's 2 middle fingers."
Yeah.
My favorite thing about God of War has been that, like, we didn't get any post-launch.
Spider Luke says mod of war. Very good.
Ooh, that's
well
very
done.
good. We never got post-launch DLC. Like, there were, some
Here it
updates
is.
to New Game Plus. Well, no, I just mean, like, the story of this game post its launch has always been about these little things that were hidden in the game, whether found intentionally as Easter eggs put into the game or things like this that had to come through a hack. It is
Love
so
it.
cool
Right.
that this game keeps having this life.
I feel like there's just no way that the developers ever thought that anybody would find this, right?
Yeah.
Like this to me smacks of something that's like this is just for us.
Yeah.
Like this is a funny thing that we're gonna do, and no one will ever see it. And lo and behold, here we are.
Classic Baldur.
It fits with the character, and this is from Lance's Twitter. I'm going to just bring up his name so I get it wrong. Lance McDonald on Twitter, and everybody picked this up today. This is just one of those really, really fun stories about game development, like you said, where we kind of get in on behind-the-scenes stuff that we never would have seen otherwise. So I love mods, and when the community comes together and does really, really cool stuff like this and just finds neat things.
Now, Destin, we've never gotten a look at
boy.
Super Mario when he falls
Here it comes.
in the pits. What do you think he's doing down there?
He's just hanging out. I don't know.
Good.
What would he? I don't know how to answer that.
You don't think he's not doing any middle fingers or anything like that?
No, he like pops
Mario's
up
too
and then
wholesome
he
to do a
takes
middle
a nap.
finger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I think when no
Alright.
one's looking, he throws a couple fingers up. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me. We're going to keep going. We have the biggest story, which I saved.
Sounded like you were ending.
It really did sound like you were wrapping out.
Maybe. No, we're going to keep going.
Oh, here we go.
I have some very sad news for people who love to eat hot dogs and pizza and acai bowls and big, thick bread sandwiches. At Costco, you can no longer get those things unless you are a member. Costco always had a food court that was parallel to their giant, like
I wouldn't
Indiana
call
Jones
it so
room.
much a court as it was like a garage door that just like shoved foods out at you. But
That's true. It wasn't really a court.
Yeah.
Definitely not. It was like a kiosk. And they have robots. They make pizzas there.
okay.
You ever seen that?
No, I never seen the robots.
It like spits it's a robot that spits a sauce spiral.
Okay.
Like that, and it spins around, and they throw it in the oven, and they bring it to you. It's really good.
Fair to call that pizza?
Oh, it's actually pretty decent pizza.
Okay.
You know what I like is the chicken bake. That's just like it's like a big pot pie.
Yeah.
Yeah. In a
I was gonna pull up a picture, but you know what I would pull up a picture.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's great, Dustin.
I didn't know
I
you.
gotta get you better material.
This story is how I learned you could shop at a Costco without being a Costco member.
Well,
I
that's the
never knew
thing.
this either.
That's the thing. We actually didn't get to the headline of
Yeah.
the story. You can no longer get the hot dogs and the chicken bakes and the pizza if you're
Yeah.
not a member.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Dark
So
day for pizza fans. And
I wrote some notes here. I said Costco is a great store for big boys. You can buy a car at Costco if you want, or you can buy enough mayonnaise to kill yourself. Hot dogs, pizza, and
There
ice
it
cream
is.
cone.
There's
There we
that
go.
garage.
Yeah. If you wear,
hey there, Alexa.
wow. Can we pull that back up?
Yeah. Wait, hold on.
I want to point something out.
Time out.
If you wear cargo shorts at Costco, they give you
Put a slice of pizza in
they
each
give you
pocket,
free pizza.
and then you take that pizza to the gym.
Yeah, so you need a membership now to buy these fabulous food items. These have been the same price since the 80s. They're dirt cheap.
Yeah, they are really cheap.
You can get a hot dog and a soda for like $1.50 there, and if you get 2 hot dogs, they give you 2 sodas. You can get whole pizza there for $10. Chicken bake is, I believe, it's free if you're wearing jorts or cargo shorts. It's a great deal. But yeah, they're getting rid of this, and I like to go to Costco. I like that store a lot. It's a very good store.
A rogue hot dog has a
Let's take care of this one right here.
Go
right?
ahead, Brian.
Go ahead. Nice.
Good job.
Do you know why I can do that? Because I am a card-carrying Costco member. Can I get another one? I'm starving. Can I get one in my hand right here? I'm very hungry. Come on. I'm a member.
Oh.
Whoa! That's a Costco-sized hot dog right there. I dig right into this one.
That hot dog only costs $2. Wow. You see the size of it?
Destin, you've been a good boy this show. Would you like a hot dog?
I want 2, Brian. I don't think they can do it. And they do too.
Can you dig into that bad boy? You've been so good today. You got karate tonight. I think you got a lot of stuff.
Show that hot dog to his boss.
Yeah!
Holy shit.
Wow, that's amazing.
Wow.
Delicious.
Let us know in the comments what your favorite food to get is at Costco. Have you been to Costco before?
Yeah, I've had a membership for a long time, but when you're a single man
When you're famous.
in San Francisco, it's hard to justify buying 12 gallons of milk in a single go.
That's
Yeah,
true.
it's tough.
Have you ever gone in there to get something that you've never tried? Tyrone Israel says, I have to say, IGN has improved a lot. I don't know.
Debatable. Very debatable.
First of all, I feel bad for the IGN of the past that was really working hard, because if that's true, then man, that's really all it took is we had to eat clip art out of the air.
Wait a minute. What's this?
Whoa!
What?
What was
Well,
that?
hold on
What
there.
is that?
What is this?
What do we got?
Is Yeah! You're a member.
Great.
Okay. Well, anyway, let us know what your favorite food is to get at Costco. I really like to get some of the samples. You go in there, you get a whole buffet. It's like sort of like a charcuterie. You can bring them all to your car and eat them there. That's fun to do. Do you guys like to do that?
Are we out of topics? We still have 3 minutes to fill?
We have 2 minutes left.
Okay, real quick, lightning round. Let's just talk. What's everybody playing right now?
I started actually playing Murder by Numbers
Oh, yeah,
out on
that's
Switch
really good.
today. Yeah, it's really fun. It's a mix of a visual novel and Picross.
Okay, yeah.
So basically, I don't want to spoil the story because it's mostly story-based, but it is a really fun, tongue-in-cheek, sort of like 90s set and aesthetic, like really pop like gum bubbly, like Wreck-It Ralph.
Gum bubbly,
Right.
got it.
Gum bubbly. What's her name? The little girl in Wreck-It Ralph?
yeah, I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
basically
Sugar
like
plum sweets.
basically her aesthetic, but also in the 90s, and also murder happens.
Oh.
It's really fun.
That's cool.
And then you do Picross to solve
Solve all the crimes.
solve crimes and get
cool.
clues. It's actually really fun.
Brian?
I don't know if I could say what I'm playing.
Ooh,
Fair
top
enough,
secret.
yeah.
But it comes out soon, and I'm enjoying it.
You playing Animal Crossing?
No, I'm not playing Animal Crossing.
Okay, all
I
right.
wish I was
Yeah.
playing.
Ooh,
Animal
I was
Crossing.
about to
Spider-Man
be
2
angry.
has been pretty fun, though, right?
Spider-Man 2, yeah.
Yeah, it was
It's
I've been playing the Mega Man Zero collection. Those games are tough, but they're very cool. Great pixel art in those games. Really loving an old school. Well, old school. I guess those games are like 18 years old.
That's
for
old school
the
now.
Mega Man Zero mission?
Yeah.
Are you-
No. Mega Man Zero collection.
Oh.
Metroid Zero.
Oh.
You're thinking of Metroid Zero Mission,
Which is great.
totally different game. Also great sprite work.
I really wish they put that on
Destin,
Switch.
what are you playing over there, Destiny?
First of all, good picks across the board.
Thank you.
Yes, I am playing Destiny.
Yeah.
No, actually, I'm playing Tom Clancy's The Division 2.
Thank you for referring to it by its full name. Nobody ever.
Warlords of
respectfully
New
does
York.
that.
I wasn't done. Warlords of New York. I actually am really enjoying the game. They made a lot of improvements to the gear system. I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Destin, do you know one of the major things that New York is known for?
Pizza.
Hot dogs.
Oh.
Yeah, there are hot dogs in almost every
Nathan's.
corner of New York City, and you can buy all of them. And I think because you've been so good today, I think we're going to let you have one more.
Give
as,
that man another
as
hot
a
dog.
treat. We're going to let you
there
have
one back here?
I think there might be a hot dog back there that we left for you.
Where is
Well,
it?
let's see.
Destin, bring us home. Bring us home. We want to thank you.
there it came from.
Thank you so much to Destin Legary and the hot dogs. You got a little bit on you there, but it's okay. Thank you to Destin. Thank you to Zach. Thank you to Jonathan. Thank you to the chat for joining us. This is News Games and More every day, 4 p.m. Pacific time, right here on IGN, YouTube, Mixer, and Twitch, and on your favorite podcast services later on. You've been so good today. Go to Costco. Don't even pull the membership card out. Sneak off to the side. Get yourself a big old hot dog. Take care of yourself. Hot dogs, hot dogs, hot dogs. Happy birthday to Harry Hot Dog, creator of the hot dog. This episode was brought to you by Costco. Not real.
Nope.